Howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. Maybe not the episode you were expecting. Just a sec. But I'm back from the hospital. As you can see, I had a cannula inserted to feed me the sedatives. So I had a sedated colonoscopy. Because he's doing what she can to ruin the recording. What are you doing over there, little girl? Maybe you'll get to see it, maybe not. Well, cut to the chase, I have cancer. I have bowel cancer. However, it's not as bad as it sounds. So, where to start? Many of you had warned me that having a colonoscopy the day before was the worst thing. Because you're basically not allowed to eat anything and you're on laxatives. So, yeah, Saturday I was basically shitting through the eye of a needle the entire day. The stuff they gave me was called Picolax. And I think a number of you said if you get the choice, take Picolax as your laxative. I didn't get the choice, fortunately. I got this stuff, and it tasted all right. I was braced for it to be absolutely revolting, but they put some citric acid in it, so it actually tasted like lemon juice. It wasn't too bad, and it was fast working. Within 20 minutes, I took the first dose at 10 a.m. Within 20 minutes, I was on the toilet. Another bit of advice for anybody who's going through the same procedure: don't use toilet paper. Buy wet wipes, baby wipes, because when you've been wiping your ass 3 or 4 times an hour the whole day, that shit starts to sting after a while, and it can get quite delicate down there. So yeah, baby wipes are definitely a good idea. And I couldn't eat anything the whole day. Surprisingly, I wasn't hungry. I mean, I kept looking at snacks and thinking, I could go with one of those right now. But when I woke up Sunday morning, I was expecting to be starving, and I just wasn't hungry at all. So I ate nothing at all on Saturday, other than I just drank water. I think I had 2 cups of coffee, and that was it. And then Sunday morning, Easter Sunday, everybody remembers Eddie. He died of bowel cancer last year. His mother drove me up to the hospital. Rita came and she stayed there while I was in. And I went in for the procedure, and I was conscious throughout. I was under sedatives, but not general anaesthetic. So I was actually watching on the camera. They had 2 set up, one on each side. So no matter which side I was lying on, I could see what was going on. And the doctor went in. They ran the camera the whole way up my bowel. And then they sort of work backwards, and then they'd, there's a polyp there, so they'd take a biopsy sample and then snip the polyp off, removed it, pulled the camera back. They've got about 3 or 4 of these polyps. And then when they were about 30 centimetres away from my actual asshole, they found the cancer. It's like there was this healthy pink tissue, and then there was this lump of white, with sort of black veins running through it. It's the only way I could really describe it. I mean, I was sedated, so I don't remember particularly clearly, but I remember seeing that and thinking, yeah, that probably shouldn't be there. So they poked it and prodded it, and that's where the bleeding was coming from, because the second they stuck the whatever it was in order to get a sample, it started bleeding, and that's the source of the bleeding. And then it came out, the camera came out, and I was wheeled into the recovery room. I was a bit woozy. Got myself dressed. They give you these. They said, bring a pair of slippers and a dressing gown, a bathrobe with you. Never needed the bathrobe, but you have to strip naked, and they give you these things they call them dignity shorts, and they're basically a pair of plastic blue shorts with the arse cut out to give the doctor access. So I'm wearing those and a hospital gown. I got changed into, this. And the doctor basically just told me what I've just told you. And he said they found the cancer. It wasn't that big. He said it was about, I didn't have anything to judge size by, so it just looked like this white mass in my gut on the camera. But he said it was only about the size of a 50p piece. So for those of you who haven't seen British coins, it was only about that big. So it was kind of small. He said he could have whipped it out there and then, but he thought, actually, we'll just take some biopsies and we'll leave it in case it's malignant. and it's spread elsewhere. So that I need a CT scan next. I'll find out whether it's spread anywhere. Because if something like that gets to your lymph nodes, your whole body's got it. So they're going to schedule me in for a CT test within 2 weeks. I'll have that, and then they'll discuss options. Most likely surgery, or maybe they can just, I don't know. We'll discuss options. But it's definitely bowel cancer. Fortunately, I didn't mess around. I didn't do what Eddie did and just ignored it and hope it was going to go away. Although I did leave it for about a month before I actually went to the doctor once I started discovering blood in my stool. But we caught it early, and it's not very big, so it should be relatively easy to remove, providing it hasn't spread elsewhere. So that's what the CT scan's for. And obviously they're going to do biopsies or tests on the samples that they removed. And that's where we currently are. I mean, I feel fine. Akazuki's sitting over there giving me the eye. Yes, baby, that's right, we love you too. You want to come over here for the people on YouTube? You want to come over? She doesn't want to come over. She likes sitting on the table over there just watching me when she thinks there's going to be food because this is where I sit to eat. There's no food, no. But yeah, basically, I mean, I'm not fine. None of it was good news, but there's different levels of bad news. It could have been a lot worse. So I do have bowel cancer, but I'm not really worried. There's every reason to be hopeful. So CT scan within the next 2 weeks. Hopefully test results back also within the next 2 weeks, and then I see the doctor and we decide on the course of action, which is probably going to be surgery, but it shouldn't be too serious. What will most likely happen if the surgery is successful is I'll go on to chemotherapy, just to make sure that there's nothing else there. They take the major source of the cancer out, but just in case, I'll go on to chemo, probably. We'll confirm all this when I speak to the consultant after all of the results of the next series of tests are in. And hopefully I should be okay. So while none of this has been good news, it's what I was expecting anyway. And after my consultation with the first doctor, who miscommunicated to me the results of the simple fit test, which just indicates presence of blood in your stool and indicates the need for a colonoscopy to find out if you have cancer, that doctor allowed me to think that I had cancer, even though at that point we didn't know for sure. We just knew that I needed this colonoscopy. So like a month ago, for the first 2 weeks, I already thought I had cancer. So here she comes. Hello, little girl. So I'm already over the acceptance stage. Hello. Was that the murp button? Want to get the scratches? Here we go, little girl. Look at that tail. It's glorious. Yes. Yes, that's right. Daddy's going to be fine. Don't worry. So yeah, that's basically the situation. I do have bowel cancer, but it's not, I don't even know what stage it is, but it's in the early stages. And the thing about bowel cancer is I think bowel cancer and thyroid cancers are two of the cancers that take the longest time to develop, and they're the easiest to treat. So I guess if you've got to have bad news, this may as well be it, because it could certainly have been a lot worse. I just keep thinking about Eddie, because by the time he was diagnosed with cancer, it was already stage 4 and he was dead 2 weeks later, because he just let it go. And I suppose if you take any message away from this video, get yourself checked. If you think there's something wrong, don't do the man thing. Don't do what Eddie did and just think, yeah, it'll be fine, it'll go away by itself, because most things don't. So get yourself checked out. The sooner the better. Because I've lost one friend to this disease already, as well as a grandfather that I never knew, and I nearly lost an uncle. And it doesn't need to happen, because it's one of the easiest treatable cancers, and it takes a very long time to develop once it takes hold. So there's every chance if you get this disease that you can be cured. I mean, there are different levels of cure. Sometimes you end up shitting into a bag for the rest of your life, but it's better than the alternative. So get yourselves checked. And thank you, by the way, to everybody for your response and the outpouring of support, particularly everybody, but particularly all the medical professionals who have sent me messages. In particular, I'm thinking of a radiologist from Romania who's been very, very helpful. I can't remember, I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce your name. I think it was Vladimir. But you and everybody else who's written in with messages of support and who've been subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs ups on those videos. It all helps get the mortgage for this place paid. So that if the worst does come to the worst, and I'm not expecting it to at this point with the news that I had today, but if the worst does come to the worst, these cats are going to have somewhere to live. But fingers crossed it doesn't come to that. And I'm reasonably hopeful that it's going to be okay. It might not be pleasant, but I didn't mess around. Well, I did, but I didn't completely ignore the symptoms. And I went to see the doctor. As a result, I have a small tumour, it's about that big, which looks like it's easily going to be removed, and we're just waiting on the results of I have to have a CT scan and wait for the results of the lab reports to come back, and then very, very probably we'll have a surgery, get rid of it, go on to chemo to clear up any lingering traces, and I'll be fine. I'm sure the chemo is going to suck, but better than the alternative. So that's the situation. And now I'm going to have a sandwich because I'm absolutely starving. Unfortunately, it's Easter Sunday, so I don't think there's any food deliveries going on, or maybe, I'll have to look. But I might have to actually cook something tonight, but it'll be fine. Anyway, that's the situation. So just keeping everybody in the loop. Once again, thank you all for your support. It really has made a lot of difference. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.